I bought a Hummer EV last year, and it's been a lot of fun. But what the heck does that have to do with pain? Let me tell you. So I bought this in the spring, and man, it's super cool. Uh, I was kind of torn between the Hummer EV and the Rivian, just looking for an electric truck. And what really sold me on the Hummer EV was that the whole top comes off. Stores right in the e-trunk in the front. So it goes with you everywhere you go. You know, run into a pop-up storm, I can just hop out real quick, put the top on. It's really great. It's super fast. It is super smooth. It weighs 9,200 pounds, which is kind of mind-boggling. And it's 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. Pretty crazy. But now that we've rolled into winter here in Indiana, there's been some major drawbacks. So, you know, the temperatures for about 3 weeks were pretty low, single digits, negative wind chills. And I've got a couple of trips that I make each week that are, one is like 65 miles and the other is 80 miles one way. So round trip, we're looking at about 130 and 160. Now my range on the Hummer is 300 miles when it's charged up all the way. So what I noticed was that on the long trips, when it is very cold, the battery gets schwacked real bad. On my 180 mile trip, I use 280 miles of range. It's really bad. And so imagine this. I did learn that on electric vehicles, you can do what's called preconditioning the battery while it's plugged in. And so while it's connected to the wall charger, it uses the energy from the wall and the electric panel to warm the battery while it's plugged in. So it stops charging, it warms the battery. So when you get in, the battery is already heated up to temperature. Versus getting out, driving, the vehicle's trying to warm up the battery and move the car forwards at the same time. It's just a huge battery drain. And it's called preconditioning the battery. It drastically changed the amount of miles that you can go in the very cold weather. So imagine that for you, pain is winter, okay? There's a lot of you out there who have been stuck with the same pain for months, years, maybe even decades, and it's just because you are getting out and driving the car, okay? And you're not preconditioning your body for what it actually needs to get the most out of your pain relief efforts. So maybe you've tried physical therapy and you didn't really get results or get to keep the results, or maybe chiropractics or medications or injections. And all these things could potentially work if the body was preconditioned for pain relief, okay? And what we call this is the Pain Free Pre-Requisites, which is essentially there are certain things your body needs before pain relief is even on the table. And if you're staring right at the pain and trying to focus on making the pain go away, you're going to ignore all the reasons why that pain is there, and that's why you're stuck in this loop of pain, on and off pain, chronic pain, consistent pain, persistent pain. And if you would just take some time to precondition the body, give it what it needs so that pain relief can then become possible. Most of the time when you do those things, pain goes away anyway. But if it doesn't, then it's going to make a dedicated pain relief effort, something like a therapy or medication, potentially way more effective, okay? So, you know, we really not have to zoom out and look at what's going on in the body. Because remember, the medical marketplace will treat pain like it is the problem. But if you do a very simple search on, pain on Google, the first thing it's going to say is pain is a symptom. And the difference is symptoms are what show up that alert you to the fact that there is a problem. The symptom is not the problem itself, okay? And that you need to really zoom out and take a look at the whole body to understand, okay, what are things going on everywhere that could potentially be creating this pain? Now, we've talked through this before online, and I'll give you just a real simple breakdown of how people accumulate pain over time or get stuck in pain after some acute trauma or something like that. And really what we're looking at is lifestyle, which we'll just call sitting too much for most people. The positions you spend most of your day in is what your body's going to accommodate to, unless you have some strategy to break out of that. So if you sit all day, your body is accommodating to, mid-range at the hip, mid-range at the knee, mid-range at the shoulder as you're, dancing on the keyboard, mid-range at the ankle. And then it makes it very difficult to access the end range positions. And when you can't access an end range position, your body starts to compensate around that. And that compensation is what creates mechanical stress and breakdown in the anatomy. So we're talking about disc, nerve root, itises, osises, anything that's probably going to have a diagnosis attached to it. And that becomes the source of the pain. But the source of the pain is not the root cause of the pain. Because let's just say you have disc bulge or herniation. That might be the source of the pain. Also might not. A lot of research to support that. But you have to ask the question, why is that disc bulge there in the first place? And that's how we start drilling down to root cause. So what we see is that lifestyle leads to stiff joints and asymmetries in your joints. Stiff and asymmetric joints lead to movement compensation. Movement compensation over time leads to breakdown of the anatomy, the biomechanics of how the body should function, and that leads to pain. So if we're going to reverse out of pain, we have to look at all of the joints, because all of the joints are involved in movement, okay? And if you don't change the way you move, you won't change the way you feel. And so, but if we can change movement really quickly by seeing what joints do we need to work on to change movement the quickest, pain is an easy thing to change. If you just zoom out away from that pain and look at how is my whole body working together to produce movement. And I guarantee you right now in this moment, you can find a movement that's painful, figure out how to do that same movement in a slightly different way that has less pain. There's a better position to do it in and it's going to be less painful. And then you just got to figure out, okay, well, what are my roadblocks and barriers to being able to do this movement really correctly? To be able to do it with less pain. It's not hard to do if you just zoom out, figure out what all needs to change, and then start making little changes in those. It's way better than trying to make some big giant change wherever the pain is. And ultimately, if you do root cause work, you get pain relief. And if you do, and you get pain relief for long periods of time. Versus doing pain relief work, you get pain relief, and then it comes right back because you didn't solve the root cause of the problem. All right, so precondition your body. You need to start looking at what are the prerequisites that you even need for pain relief. And simply put, your ankles need to move as much as they should. Your knees should move as much as they should. The hips should move as much as they should. In all the directions, by the way. Your shoulders should have as much mobility as they should have. And the truth is right now they don't. And that's why your body hurts. So hope you got something out of that. If you want to have a bigger conversation about what those prerequisites look like and maybe how to test some of these things out on your own, feel free to send me a DM and just say fundamental, and we'll send you our fundamentals of pain relief guide so you can see what do you need across 10,000 screens. What do we most commonly see people have in terms of how their joint mobility compares to what they should have, and then some simple breakdowns on how we can start making some changes there. Talk to you later.